Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated. I've got another good episode planned for you today, centered around NBA playoff basketball. We are still heavily engulfed in the second round. Just 2 games in the association last night, where game threes to be exact, or game fours rather, to be exact, where the New York Knicks took on the Boston Celtics, and also the Minnesota Timberwolves took on the Golden State Warriors. We'll get into the results in just a second. Some stats, box scores, my perspective, my takeaways, my opinion stated. But before we do that, do me a huge favor. Like the video. Liking the video helps us cruise along algorithm avenue. Helps us get into the presence of individuals such as yourself who might be looking for this kind of content. Also, subscribe to the channel. Subscribing and clicking that notification bell obviously helps you stay in the loop as to when my newest episodes are uploaded. Without further ado, man, I'm diving right into this one. I'm entitling today's episode NBA Playoff Second Round, End in Sight. So as I stated, we are still heavily engulfed in the second round of the 2025 NBA playoffs. Man, the games have been really, really, really good through the first round. The 1-8 matchups notwithstanding. Into the second round, we've seen some lopsided victories. We've seen, on both sides of the series. And we've also seen more than anything else competitive matchups. And we've seen some, amazing comebacks, more amazing comebacks than I think I can remember from previous years of the playoffs. So the playoffs have been really, really entertaining, interesting, I'll say, what perspective does, because, in viewing like a lot of other creators, channels, I'm hearing people kind of complain about how the playoffs are lackluster, and it's really weird. I'm like, man, what brand of basketball are you guys watching or used to watching? Because this is the most phenomenal that I've seen in years. But that neither here nor there. I want to get into the first matchup that took place last night. First game 4 matchup in the Eastern Conference saw the second seeded Boston Celtics take on the number 3 seeded New York Knicks, and the Knicks were coming off of a loss in a home game, their first home game of the series after stealing 2 in Boston. The Celtics came out and just, seemed like they couldn't miss. They shot 50% from 3 on Saturday. And, this game was pivotal because it was going to be interesting to see how the Knicks responded to the Celtics finally having a good shooting game after having subpar shooting games, 20-point leads that New York would come back from in those first 2 games, et cetera, man. So it was just really interesting. I was most interested, I would say, in seeing how New York will respond to getting dog walked on Saturday in Monday's matchup. And, man, they did not disappoint. 121-113 victory. Very, very good basketball game. The Knicks came out again. The Celtics came out again in this game in the first half, shooting the lights out, including 4 threes from Derek White off top. And they were just unconscious from 3, being the Boston Celtics, a team that shoots at a high volume in hopes of making a high volume. And typically when Boston is making a high volume with, their desire to shoot so many of them, they're unstoppable almost. And the Knicks would withstand the being punched in the mouth, and they would just stay in the fight. You know what I mean? They did not quit. They did not relent, which they haven't done in the series, save the results of game 3. But it was really, really good to see them, stick in the game and fight. And I'll share some more perspectives as we go. This was, for all intents and purposes, with the 113 points you'll see that Boston put up. This was the Jason Tatum game. Jason Tatum contributed 42 of the 113 points in this game. But Boston overall shot 48.1% from the field, 37.5% from three. They shot lights out from three in the first half. Second half, not so good. 31 rebounds they snag in this contest and 15 assists dished out. They shot 38 of 79 overall for that 48.1%, 18 from 48 from three. So they were shooting lights out from three in the first half. And I know at one point the commentator said, like, yo, after shooting so well in the first half, this was in the second half. They charted a stat of like 3 of 14 or 3 of 16 or something like that that Boston had shot from three in the second half. So the threes, just stopped falling, as much as they were in the first half. And the Knicks were able to climb back into this game. But it wasn't necessarily a situation where the Celtics just went ice cold. The Knicks continued to fight and battle throughout. So this was a much different game. The Knicks will fall down as deep into a margin of 14, but then fought back. So it wasn't like one of those games where they were down by 20 points, etc. But a very good game. But speaking of the Celtics, 42 points in the game for JT, 16 of 28 shooting, 7 of 16 from three, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. In group chat with my buddies, I was saying how, the one thing that I didn't like about Jason Tatum, or that I, don't like about Jason Tatum in terms of his game, is that he will simply fall in love with, taking the outside shot as opposed to getting to the mid range, where his first step is crazy and he can get any shot that he wants, he can get to any position on the court that he wants, or as opposed to just getting to the rim. You know what I mean? Like getting downhill and scoring. He has the ability to do that. But I feel like as the game wears on, especially if he's hitting threes like he was hitting threes last night, um, it's kind of fool's gold. You know what I mean? Like not kind of, but it is fool's gold. And so he'll then resort to taking that 3-pointer or taking the long jump shot as opposed to taking the higher percentage shot. And it gives credence to, the old, kind of quote from Michael Jordan, where he was saying in the 90s that, he'd much prefer not to become a proficient 3-point shooter or start to rely on that because it makes him less aggressive. It kind of makes him lazy, or it would. He knew that it would take away from his desire to just be a killer offensively because he could just rely on the outside jump shot. And it would take away from the fullness or the well-roundedness of his game. And that is what is happening with a lot of these players. But a great game from Jason Tatum in this game, 42 points, as I said. Derek White, 23 points in the game on 6 of 12 shooting, 6 of 11 from three. 20 points in the game for Jaylen Brown, who got into a bit of foul trouble. 12 for Pritchard, who got the majority of his points there at the end. Jason Tatum will suffer what appears to be a devastating lower leg injury. When it happened in real time, I was like, oh man, he's done. You know what I mean? Looked to be an Achilles to me, but it could be like a calf tear or something like that too. But yeah, man, just the way that he went down. Again, I was talking to my buddies in the group chat. I do have one of my homies, shout out to P, who suffered an Achilles tear as well. So he was just like, oh, bro, I know that fall. I know that. I know that fall. And not laughing to make light of it, but yeah, man, he's like, yeah, that's not good. That's his Achilles. And yeah, his MRI is scheduled to have an MRI today to, I guess, reveal what the actual injury is. So praying for the best for JT without speculating. But I don't think he'll be returning in the series, not as devastated as he was. He was actually wheelchaired out of the stadium, carried off the court, couldn't even put pressure on the right leg. But then, yeah, they showed him being carted through the tunnel just in excruciating pain. So heart goes out to JT in that sense. Back to the Knicks. The Knicks put up 121 points in this game on 54.3% shooting from the field. They knocked in 50 of 92 shots. They shot 35.3% from three, so 12 of 34 from three. A much, better, 15.3% better than the 20% they shot on Saturday from three. 43 rebounds they snagged down, 25 assists. Really, really good game, man, for Mikal Bridges. They definitely needed the scoring punch of Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges came out from start to finish, and he's playing great. 23 points overall on 11 of 21 shooting. Only 1 of 6 from three, so I'd like to see him take a lot less threes because his mid-range game is so crazy. Again, one of those guys who can just get to a spot anytime he wants. I love the addition of the high release. I was kind of mad that he changed up his shooting form to begin the season. I'm like, bro, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I like the high shooting form. I talked about TJ McConnell's like high, arc on the shot and just his high release. And Mikal Bridges has added one of those as well. Well, 7 rebounds in the game, 3 assists for him as well. OG Anunoby had a great game. They definitely needed OG to show up. Only 2 points in the last game, 20 in this one, 8 of 14 shooting from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 3 rebounds in the game for him, 2 assists, 23 points in the game for Cat, the big Cat, 11 of 15 from the field, 11 rebounds as well. Cat showed up, played big, played huge. Got into a bit of foul trouble, which kind of hampered him. But I was glad that it didn't take him out of the game mentally. So they needed a big contribution from Cat. And then, in my opinion, and based on what I said before, the best point guard in the NBA, Jalen Brunson, the best point guard in the NBA, Jalen Brunson, dropped 39 points in this game. Also on 14 of 25 shooting from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 5 rebounds, 12 assists in the game, 39 and 12 assists in the game for Jalen Brunson, man. And he was not going to be denied, in this game. He wanted to make sure that he left it all on the court, and he left it all on the court. And there were several instances where he, kind of rolled his ankle, tweaked the ankle a little bit. You know what I mean? On 2 separate plays I can think of with Al Horford. Actually, it looked like he, kind of got just his toes, on Al's shoe, and then with the left leg, and then with the right leg came down and rolled the whole ankle. And I'm like, good gracious, bro. It's almost like meant for this dude to get hurt in this game. And then on a jump shot, came down on Jalen Brown's foot, rolled the ankle again, the same right ankle. And I'm like, come on, bro. Jeez Louise. We'd see Jason Tatum actually drive into the basket, fall, and look like he re-injured that wrist also earlier in the game before, going down with the lower leg injury. So, unfortunately, man, in the playoffs, this is just seemingly what happens after a long, grueling season. Players' bodies, man, just don't hold up, and it's just kind of the nature of the beast. And we're seeing it a lot. Whereas the basketball gods have, given us some exciting playoffs throughout, it's almost like they forgot that there's a muck the game up button that they can hit also, and it was like, oh shit, man, we got caught up watching the game. Let us muck the game up some. So still unclear on Donovan Mitchell's status, but we saw him, or it was reported yesterday rather, that he re-aggravated that ankle injury that had him sit out the last 4 games. And I know I'm talking Donovan Mitchell, but I'm just talking injuries in general. We now obviously JT's down. We have seen a bunch of injuries, across the board here. So unfortunately, Steph is injured. Just kind of the thing that happens, man. But New Yorkers stand up. New York takes a 3-1 lead in this series. Dare I say a commanding 3-1 lead in this series, and with JT being injured, man, the series is all but over. I'm gonna pronounce the gloom and doom on this series and say it's over. Next up, the Game 4 action between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors last night. Golden State definitely needed this game in a multitude of ways, or for a multitude of reasons, but none greater than that it would have given some time for Steph Curry to be evaluated tomorrow, I believe that it is, Wednesday, and then for it to be determined, when, or timeline, more definitive timeline set for when he will return. They needed definitely the extra time. I believe after Wednesday's game, they said it was something like 3 days off, so from Wednesday till Sunday. So that would give Steph plenty of time to recover. I don't know that. I don't know what's going to happen in the next game, but I know what happened in last night's game for certain. And the Minnesota Timberwolves took a commanding 3-1 lead in this series. I believe that this one is over as well. 117-110. Let's dive into the stats a little bit deeper. We saw in last game, Jimmy Butler scored 38 points. So Jimmy Butler put the team on his back. What I witnessed from Jimmy, and what most of the commentators even said last night, was that Jimmy seemed to be exhausted at the end of Game 3. In Game 4, as a perspective shift and as a better strategy, I think that Steve Kerr, and his coaching staff were like, hey, man, let's just have everybody else get involved because Jimmy can't carry us by himself, and I don't think that it's a good idea to try and have Jimmy just take on the full offensive load to distribute and facilitate and the whole nine. Like, it's impossible, right? So that's a heavy load for a 35-year-old to carry, and so they allowed for more of a flow of offense last night. We saw Draymond Green come out and facilitate a whole bunch running that point forward position that he runs so well, which in my mind actually makes more sense even when Steph's in the lineup, is to have Draymond handle the ball so that Jimmy and Steph can just kind of float, pick their spots, and it would get everybody else involved. But that's the way that they played and initiated the offense last night. We saw Draymond get off to a fast start. We saw Pajemski get off to a fast start, and Buddy Hield hit a couple buckets in the first half, whereas he went scoreless in the first half in Game 3. We saw Kaminga coming off the bench and played well, and so everybody was getting involved except Jimmy. Jimmy only had 2 points in the first half. It's like, where the fuck is Jimmy Butler at? So I think, or for a while, I think he ended up coming along kind of slowly. So I had maybe 7 points or something like that in the entire first half, but 110 points total that team put up in the game, 43.5% shooting from the field. So they knocked in 37 of 85 shots overall, 29.6% from 3-point land. So 8 of 27 in the game. I, I mean clearly Steph Curry is like the most incredible shooter I've ever seen shoot the basketball, even from a proficiency standpoint. But the inability for Golden State to hit threes in the last 2 games, and it's inexplicable. It's like, even Steph. I know that during Game 3, Steph went and looked at the stat sheet. He's standing at half court, and Ali McForce or somebody asked him like, "What are you looking for?" He's just like, "Yo, I can't believe that we did hit it. Like, can't hit any threes. What's going on? Like, it doesn't even make sense." And in this game, Game 4 last night, there was a stretch, I think, all the way into the fourth quarter where they hadn't even hit a 3-pointer. Like, as a team, they could not hit from outside. In fact, Minnesota would end up hitting 8 more 3-pointers than the Golden State Warriors in the entire game. And so, I mean, that's the tale of the tape. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just kind of how it shook out. 14 points in the game for Draymond Green on 7 rebounds on 6 of 14 shooting. 14 points in the game for Jimmy Butler. Only 14 for Jimmy Butler. 6 rebounds. 13 points in the game for Buddy Hield. And 11 points in the game for Brandon Pajemski. So they got much better production from the starters, as I said, because there were only 3 players in double figures in Game 3, being Jimmy Butler and Kaminga, and I believe it was Pajemski. But in this game, a better output. 4 of the starters were in double figures um, with Kaminga coming in off the bench to give him 23 points in this game, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. And Minnesota's a better team. Let's take a look at Minnesota's output. 117 in the game for Minnesota, 49.4% shooting from the field. So they knocked in 39 of 79 of the shots that they put up. As I alluded to, 16 threes in the game. They hit 8 more than Golden State was, 16 of 34, 47.1% shooting from the field. 38 rebounds they snagged and 22 assists dished out. This was the Julius Randle first half. Anthony Edwards game. 31 points in the game for Julius Randle on 11 of 21 shooting from the field, 4 of 8, 5 boards, 3 assists. He did the majority of his damage in the first half. Anthony Edwards will score 30 points in the game on 11 of 21 shooting, 6 of 11 from 3, 4 rebounds, 5 assists for a E. Nikhil Alexander-Walker had a good game off the bench, 13 points, 11 points for Mike Conley, 11 points for Mike Conley, 2 of 6 from 3. Mike had some timely shots. I think the threes that he hit when he hit them were really big for Minnesota. Jay McDaniel was just 10 points in the game, 13 rebounds, though. He was big on the glass last night, and great in space, just playing defense. Yeah, the series is over, man. And it's just by virtue of Steph being injured and Steph not being there to help contribute and help to balance the team out, helping to spread and keep the defenders off balance. It's not because Minnesota is just outplaying them or is leagues better than Golden State, because if you've been watching this series, it's they're not doing anything to like annihilate Golden State in this game. It's just they just have the edge because they have bona fide scoring, whereas Golden State just simply does not. So Minnesota takes a 3-1 lead in that series, where they can wrap up the series on Wednesday. We'll see how that goes, as well as how the end result plays out in that Knicks series as well. We'll also get a chance to take a look at some action starting tonight, when the Indiana Pacers try and slam the door shut on the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland. This series, this is actually game 5. The graphic says 4, but this will be game 5. Same odds as last game. So the odds makers have the Cavaliers favored by 7.5 points in this game. 230 is the over under. Money line plus 240. So 24-1. You know what I'm saying? Or 240 to 1. So $10 to get you 24. If you think that Indiana will certainly just come out and literally slam the door shut, slam Cleveland in the door, and so doing, which I'm not clear on. I think when the last report that I saw said that Donovan Mitchell was like a game time decision, so I think that if Donovan Mitchell doesn't play in this game, for certain they lose. But it remains to be seen, depending on he's not going to play unless he can actually go. So I'm utterly shocked, as everybody who's not an Indiana Pacers fan is shocked that that Cleveland is getting punished in this series. It is what it is, man. Also in game 5, and the graphics are game 5 here will be the Nuggets squaring off against the OKC Thunder. The Nuggets are 10.5. I'm sorry, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 10.5 point favorites in this game. Over and under is 221. 380 to 1 is the money line, for those who are interested. It's a 2-2 series tie. The edge would essentially go to the home team. So Oklahoma City being the home team tonight. But this series rather has been so good, so good back and forth. I don't even know who's going to win. I'm excited to just tune in and watch a good basketball game, to be 100% honest. And so I'll just leave it at that. We've witnessed some very good basketball in this series from both teams, and I'm looking forward to, as I said, seeing much of the same tonight. I guess I will say I expect Oklahoma City to win this game, being the better team, quote unquote. But Denver definitely needs to win this game. I think that if Denver wins this game, obviously they close the series out in 6. If Denver wins the game tonight, they close the series out in 6. I trust Denver more in a 7-game series. But I think that if they get these kids back on their heels at this juncture of the series, they can rattle them a bit mentally, and they can close it out in 6. So we'll see what happens tonight, man. That's been the basis of this episode. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Just wanted to come to you really quickly here. Like the video if you haven't done so already. Also subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourselves. Blessings.